I want to show you a few of the things I've been doing to automate my house. So the whole idea is that the system's modular, homemade, using open source software and free stuff wherever available. One of the main considerations is budget. We want maximum coolness for the least amount of money spent. And yeah, so let me show you just a few of the bits I'm doing now. So it's all based on Event Ghost. So that's a free application for Windows, and I'm sure you could run it in Wine or something in a Linux or on a Mac, or spin up a VM purely for this purpose. That's what I'm going to be doing. I'm installing ESXi soon on the new box. Anyway, that's a side project. So Event Ghost is running a web server, so I can control it from my phone, or I can send HTTP GET requests to it from any gadget, such as my Android Wear device or Tasker. I've got lots of different modules for that. So for example, tap kitchen, tap big light, tap on. That sends a message to Event Ghost, which controls an RFX TRX433 USB module, which controls my Lightwave RF remote sockets and light switches. And well, I'm looking into heating controller at the moment. So for example, turn that big light on, you can set it to 50% dimness, so those are dimmable. Got quite a good one, little party light, which is a RGB LED strip. So these are some of the lighting bits, and this can obviously be driven from other events. So for example, when I get home from work and my MAC address, the MAC address of my phone registers on my firewall, which is also the DHCP server, that knows, so basically the network knows I'm home, therefore I can do certain events. For example, it checks to see if the sun has set in my local area, and if it has, it will turn the light on when I get home. Quite cool. And that that didn't cost anything, just some bits of free software and quite a lot of blood, sweat and copied and pasted code from the web. So let me go around my house and film some other little bits that might be interesting. So this is the light switch I was controlling just now. It's a Lightwave RF module, which you can get from B&Q in the UK or online, but it seems to be about the same price. Sometimes B&Q have sales on these things because I don't think it sells that well. So grab loads of stuff when it's in the sale. That's my top tip. Anyway, so I can press this top button and it'll turn the lights to the last level of brightness it was set. I can hold down the top one and it increases the brightness. Hold on the bottom one, decrease the brightness. Tap the bottom one, turns off. And then from my phone, I can tap kitchen. I don't know if you can see my very crude web interface. You obviously can't see it. And if I tap big light on, you can see the LED here changes, the lights come on. So that is a Lightwave RF light switch. I've got a three-way version of one of those Lightwave RF remote switches here, which obviously isn't attached yet, but I just wanted to show you the back of it. You can see it's got just 3 separate dimmer modules and 3 sets of 3 screw terminals for your house lighting wiring. Nothing else is required apart from that, apart from pairing these, which you do by holding down both buttons until the LEDs flash, but that's done over RF, so no more wiring. Good. So this one is a Lightwave RF remote, as opposed to being an actual switch itself. So with this you can control other Lightwave RF devices, such as the switch which is plugged into this lamp, or rather the switch that the lamp's plugged into. So if I press the off button on here, sends a HTTP GET request to Event Ghost, which then turns the light off. You can see there's a slight delay. It's because my server's also doing quite a lot of other stuff at the moment. So turn that back on so you can see. The other buttons at the bottom do things like start movie mode. I think that's number 1. I've only just done that, so it might not be. Yeah. So you can see it's turned on some little fairy lights over there and another lamp over there. If I turn movie mode off, I believe it just turns all the lights off. If I press the big button again, it turns the little lamp on. So that is a Lightwave RF remote. You can also get ones that are like a traditional TV remote, but still work over RF as opposed to infrared. This is one that is not yet implemented, as you can see, because there's no power going into it. But it does work. I just need to finish up some code and obviously tidy this up a little bit. So this is a Raspberry Pi, as you can see, with a Wi-Fi USB module and a tiny little circuit that I made with an infrared LED, so infrared transmitter, and an infrared receiver there. So the idea is, this arose because I was trying to find something that I could put on the network and give it some infrared signals, and it spits the infrared signals back out. So all the audio-visual gear, like the amps and receiver and whatnot, are going to be going into a little TV cupboard thing. So the infrared remote isn't going to get through the wood of the cupboard doors, obviously. So the idea is have the Pi also in the cupboard, and a few of these little infrared LEDs all pointing towards the infrared receivers on all of those different devices. So the idea is, this has got a little web page, and you go on the web page and you can send infrared signals to your telly, to your, any of your home audio and visual devices. And because it's got a web server again, you can send it HTTP GET requests from EventGhost or from your any other devices. So for example, going back to my phone, if my phone rings and the TV's on, this will send the infrared signal for mute to my TV, so it mutes the audio. If my phone rings, I can answer the phone, can hear what I'm saying and what they're saying. I thought that one was quite good. Anyway, let's carry on the tour. So this is one of the PIR motion sensors I'm using. So that one's now superseded. It's an old model. I've only got one of those, but it's quite chunky compared to the other ones. But it works exactly the same way. So it's not Lightwave RF, but it is still RF, and it works with the USB transmitter I'm using. So that's all great. The idea is here that if it senses movement, it turns on some lights or something else. Pretty simple, really, pretty obvious. But so this can obviously send signals, perhaps not obviously, but straight to any of the other RF devices. So this could turn on a light switch straight away without going via EventGhost, therefore not checking if the sun's up or whatever. If my phone's home, say I had a cat or a dog or something, which I don't, but I do want a doggy, I might not want the lights being triggered by the dog all the time or something at night. So for that reason, we want it going through EventGhost, is the point I'm making. So this one, I'll have to just kind of simulate this because it's obviously not nighttime. Sends an RF signal to EventGhost, which turns on some fairy lights on these stairs, which I will show you because it's quite good. I suggest everybody has fairy lights wrapped around the balustrades of their stairs. So it doesn't even provide that much light, but it's, if you're just walking through to the kitchen on an evening, you don't need lots of light on. It's good. It gets good girlfriend approval. So this is the newer version of that PIR sensor, which works in exactly the same way, but it's much smaller and it only needs 2 AAA batteries, which last a bloody long time. Just get rechargeables, it's fine. You'll be right. So what I want to show you here, so this is an example of one of the remote sockets I'm using, but it's not a Lightwave RF one. So the Lightwave RF sockets are quite pricey, as I was saying, the Lightwave RF stuff is, but these are compatible, so they operate on the same frequency, 433 megahertz, and I think they come in a 6-pack in Maplins, and you get, I think it's £12 for 6 of them, absolute bargain, whereas the Lightwave RF ones it's more like a tenner each. Anyway, so as I said, these can be triggered in exactly the same way as the Lightwave RF ones. So this one is at the top of my stairs. There is the PIR sensor I showed you a moment ago, that blurry spot there. And yeah, so I'm going to just pretend that's been triggered by hitting upstairs on. And as you can see, it has turned this lamp on here, just demonstrating that in case you cannot tell. And it has a little light on there too, just to tell you. So buy lots of these and dot them around everywhere, and don't use your big light, just have lots of lamps that you can conveniently turn on. Nobody likes the big light on. Atmosphere. So this is a El Cheapo Foscam IP camera that I got on eBay a good maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and I think it's just given up the ghost. But yeah, it's very cheap, and I was quite impressed with the quality considering the cheapness. It's pan tilt and zoomable, so you can remotely move this around. I might as well, the servos are fucked anyway, and tilt this up and down, excuse the language, and obviously zoom in. And I had this doing a sort of motion detecting thing in the hallway here, and if it sensed motion, it would turn the lights on instead of the infrared sensor. But infrared sensors are much easier, much more reliable, and also much quicker at detecting movement than doing it with computer vision on a Raspberry Pi. Quite slow. Anyway, so I just wanted to show you that because it was cool, but now it's broken. So I just wanted to give you cash. That was yeah, that feels like that was planned, but that was actually a genuine casual leaning against the wall. Anyway, I hope that gives you a nice little overview of what I've started doing home automation wise, and on the cheap. If you've got any questions, just let me know. At some point I will make a more in-depth tour, but it's quite annoying, and I can't be arsed with editing. See ya.